Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of the Q&A series. This is Nitin Shah from ICHARS. In this episode, we are going to talk about anger and how to manage anger effectively. One of the first questions that we received from a lot of you is, why do we get angry in the first place? So, in my understanding, we generally experience anger because we are expecting something from someone and our expectation is not being met. In other words, I am not able to accept people for who they are or what they wish to do. And when I am not able to accept them for who they are or what they wish to do, I generally have a tendency to get angry because my expectations with them are not being fulfilled. The next question ties into this question, which is how do we manage anger? And the answer is actually quite simple. If lack of acceptance is the cause of anger, then obviously the solution to anger is acceptance. Now, while the answer is simple, it's a bit tricky because a lot of us don't really understand what acceptance means. For a lot of us, acceptance is equal to resignation. Because I wasn't able to do something, therefore I had to accept it. Now, technically that's not really acceptance, that's resignation, isn't it? So what is acceptance? Acceptance is realizing that I and the other person are looking for different things, that we may not agree with something. And I accept that the other person has a view or an opinion or a style of being which is different from who I am. But that doesn't mean that I don't have to accept myself for that. I also have to accept that I have an opinion or a style of being which is different from someone else. And the only way I will be able to accept someone else completely is when I'm able to accept myself completely. But then that throws an interesting dynamics. That if I accept myself, if I accept the other person, and if both of us are looking for different things, then how does that really resolve a problem? It resolves a problem because once I understand what I am, what I want, and I understand that the other person wants something different, now I have a choice. The choice is either I can realign my expectations to what the other person wants me or expects from me, which then means that I will be able to bring my expectations in alignment with their actions, their thoughts, their behaviors, which would then mean that I am able to accept them for who they are. And that would take away a lot of anger that I may be experiencing otherwise. On the other hand, I may also reach a situation where I may realize that what I want is important. So while I accept that the other person is not willing to fulfill that expectation, I still know that if I am in an interaction with this person, if I want to continue being in that relationship with that person, whatever the nature of relationship is, I would want these people to fulfill that expectation. Now I am only left with one option actually. That if the other person is not going to fulfill their expectations, then it's my choice to actually choose to move out of that situation, that relationship. And I understand that moving out of a relationship is not the first choice. But then if you realize that both you and your partner want something very different from a relationship, wouldn't it actually be better to not be together rather than being together and make each other's life more miserable? And this is true not just with your partner, this can also be true with your colleagues, with your boss, in your work, in every area of your life. So technically the best way of managing anger is to actually deal with it at its root, which will be being able to manage your expectations more effectively. To summarize, you can manage your expectations more effectively by either realigning your expectation with the other people or by choosing to move out of that situation so that you are no longer in an area, in a situation where your expectations are not being met. The next question is expectations and anger always bad? Well, the answer is no. Anger can at times be very good. A lot of movement for change in this world has taken place because people were angry with something that was currently happening in the world. There have been a lot of movements, there have been a lot of protests that have all materialized into something positive because people were angry with the current status. So no, anger is not really always bad. There are places where it's justified, there are places where it drives you into actions, and those actions can be very, very useful. Anger becomes bad when we are not sure or when we are not able to realize that the circumstances may not always be wrong, or when we are not able to make peace with it in a way in which well, in a way in which we are not able to work towards resolve those situations and challenges, then yes, anger may become bad, because over a period of time it gets stored and then it starts getting suppressed, and then we start having certain problems, both emotional and physical. Lastly, there was this question that can we learn to channelize our anger more effectively? The answer is yes and no. When I say yes and no, it basically means that if you realize that your anger is directed towards something which needs a change, not just because you think it needs a change, but also because it's like a standard status quo that you have been following without realizing that it's creating problems for a lot of people, then yes, you can channelize that anger by actually working towards creating a change. No, because many a times that working towards creating a change itself causes a lot of frustration and a lot of anger. So technically, to channelize the anger effectively, you first need to learn to manage anger effectively, and only when you have learned to manage that anger effectively would you be able to channelize it in the right direction. How do you learn to manage your anger more effectively? Well, there are a lot of ways, but technically you just need to develop that skill to be able to understand your emotion, to be able to understand the emotions of people around you, and to be able to manage those emotions. There are a lot of books, courses that you can find which will help you manage your emotions effectively. If you ask me personally, I really think something like hypnosis, something like NLP can really help you manage emotions. Though I can give you certain tips like telling you that, start counting backwards from 10 down to 0 when you're angry, but really that doesn't work. I'm sure you've tried that, you've been there, but when you're angry, that's the only time when you don't remember to count backwards. So I'm not really going to recommend that. I would really suggest that learn proper standard mechanisms of being able to manage your emotions. Developing mindfulness, using certain processes from hypnosis, from NLP can be extremely useful in that direction. Another thing that you can do is actually learn to manage your thoughts. There is a technique called if-then statement. If you would like to go through that technique, research on it, it's a good thought management technique. And once you're able to use that to manage your thought, most of the times you will also be able to manage your anger and manage your emotions from. I hope you have found this video useful. If you have any other questions related to anger management, or if you have any other questions related to any other emotion that you would like to create a video on, then we would love to do that. Thank you.